Now, EU energy ministers are meeting in Prague to find ways to tackle high gas prices. 15 members of the European Union want the price of wholesale gas to be capped across the bloc. They do not want richer countries in Europe to be able to buy gas at higher prices. Now, they argue that the cap would help curb prices before expensive gas supplies enter the market, reach power plants, and therefore drive up electricity bills. The proposal is based on three ideas: setting a limit on the cost of Russian gas imports, negotiating a lower gas price with other suppliers, and establishing a ceiling on the price of gas used to generate electricity. But some EU member states disagree with the plan, and they want alternative options, including a limit on gas consumption and subsidy packages for businesses and for consumers. Step Vassen is at that meeting in Prague and joins me now. So we just outlined, Step, that there are different views on how to deal with this, right? How to reduce gas prices in Europe. How deep are those divisions?
Well, they are very deep, but it's a new day and a new meeting here in Prague, and also new hope that they will come to an agreement. But last week's Leaders' Summit here in Prague really failed to reach that agreement. And even worse, it showed the real deep divisions between the different countries, the 27 member states, especially between the so-called richer north and west maybe, and the more poor east and south. They really have a different view on how to resolve this crisis. The more richer countries really don't want any market intervention, or at least try to limit it as much as possible. But at the same time, they're handing out really large packages for their own people to deal with these high energy prices, something the countries in the south and east simply can't afford. So this is where the divisions are really at their deepest, and they have had meetings. Also last night they've had meetings trying to come to some kind of agreement. I spoke to the Minister of Industry and Trade here in the Czech Republic, who is organizing this meeting, and he really called on the countries to unite and to show some solidarity, because, of course, amidst this whole war in Ukraine going on, what the EU wants least is to show disunity, to show conflict. They want to show that they're strong against Russia. But this whole energy crisis is simply showing something else.
It is true that the European Union countries have been able to put up a united front, by and large, when it comes to the Russia-Ukraine crisis. Do you think they'll end up agreeing on a price cap?
Well, that's a very good question. The Minister of Industry and Trade was kind of optimistic. They are discussing a so-called compromise solution. What he really aims at now is to put a cap on gas for electricity. So basically, a lot of countries are still using gas to generate power. And that really leads to high bills for consumers. So if they can put a cap, or they call it decoupling the price from the gas price, then that would help a lot of consumers already. It would help a lot of countries. But the same system has been used since June in Spain and Portugal, and it has reduced prices by nearly 25%. But what it also has done is it has increased consumption. And that's something that the EU definitely wants to avoid, because they're really worried that they simply will run out and there will be blackouts. And that is a real worry, especially in the countries like Germany that use a lot of energy. So this is a discussion that will be ongoing today. And also the Netherlands and Germany have put in their own proposal, still trying to avoid this price cap. They're looking at a new benchmark price for LNG. That's something that's being discussed, and they also really push for a joint buying effort of gas on the market for the whole bloc. So we don't expect any resolution today. What they're aiming for is now to reach a compromise, to reach a solution early November. But of course, winter is already kicking in here, and people are really worried with their bills now.
Step, listen, thank you very much for that explanation, because it can be hard to understand exactly the mechanism, how you get to reduce the price of gas. But the bottom line is something very simple: reducing energy bills for consumers in Europe. Step Vassen, thank you very much.